Undersecretary Cisneros, is there a plan to reinstate the roughly 8,600 service members across active duty, reserves, and the Guard back to their point of service?
Thanks for the question there, Representative Gaetz. Service members that have been separated, there is a policy procedure for that. They can apply to the Board of Corrections if they have they think there's a discrepancy in their discharge. They can go and do that process.
No, I didn't ask about their options.
As far as
about your specific plan, like, do you have a plan to go get these folks back into service in our military?
Well, the policy is the same that has always been, right? If service members are discharged and they want to come back into the service, they can apply. They can go talk to recruiters.
The DoD has no active plan to do proactive outreach to these individuals to get them back in the military.
Our plan is the same as it's always been.
Okay, but it doesn't include that active outreach to get people back, it seems like. I wanted to ask Undersecretary Raven, did the Navy send out form letters in response to people's requests for religious exemptions?
Sir, I'd have to get back to you on that.
Really important, though, because the law requires an individualized assessment of people's requests for a religious exemption, right?
Yes, sir. Whatever initial outreach may be, I'll get back to you on that. But in terms of the process we followed, it was individualized review at multiple levels.
You believe there was that individualized review?
Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, the Inspector General disagrees with you. The Inspector General issued a report in June of 2022. I'm quoting directly from it. The denial memorandum we reviewed generally did not reflect an individualized analysis. And the IG's report goes on to say that the average amount of time that each package was considered was 12 minutes. Does 12 minutes seem like a sufficient amount of time to make an individual review on someone's deeply held religious basis for an exemption?
Sir, the process that was followed included multiple reviews at the medical, chaplaincy, and legal reviews, senior commanders going all the way up to headquarters. The Marine Corps established a board with senior level reviews outside the chain of command for each one of these reviews that amounted to, in many cases, more than 10 hours of review of each cases.
That's not what the Inspector General says. That seems like a self-assessment, not a reflection on the assessment. And to hear you say that is concerning, because it would seem to suggest that you guys haven't really taken to the advice and to the findings of the IG. And it also doesn't really comport with what I saw with my own two eyes, because I went to naval installations and met with service members who could point to memorandum they'd received that were exactly identical. You could have held them up to a lamp back to back. And it was, these people had poured out their faith basis to seek an exemption, and then they got a form letter back. And it sort of goes back to my question to Mr. Cisneros, like, are we stronger or weaker as a country because there are 8,600 people that used to wear the uniform, but because of the vax mandate now they don't?
Congressman, I would say we're as strong as ever. We are still a lethal force. We are ready. Our retention has been at record high levels, and we are ready to defend the nation today.
I think that you'll find in a lot of military communities, they feel like they're not as strong because they see instructor pilots that have been separated, people involved in critical test mission that now are not part of the fighting force. Like, Ms. Jones, how many pilots did we lose because of the vax mandate?
Representative, I have to follow up with you on that.
I've got a report here from the Epic Times. I don't know if it's true or not, but it talks about over 700. Does that number sound about right?
That does not sound right, but I'd have to follow up with you. I'm not familiar with the publication.
It strikes me as something we should really know, Mr. Chairman. I mean, right now we've got an Air Force that faces a pilot shortage, and we should know at this hearing, and I hope we'll get for the record how many pilots we lost, because I think that if you lost hundreds of pilots, it would be really hard to make the argument that you made that we're a stronger country because of it. How about special operators? I know how much money we put into special operators. Did we lose any of them because of the vax mandate?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of your question.
Did we lose any special operators because of the vax mandate?
You would have to ask the services to that for their specific, the amount of
Camarillo, did we lose any Green Berets?
I'd have to take that for the record. I don't have the breakout.
Gosh, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Gaetz, may I follow up with you?
Please.
We actually did not discharge any officers as a result of them, Department of the Air Force officers, as a result of them failing to obey the lawful order. For those that opted to voluntarily separate or retire in lieu of, then that was, they voluntarily did that.
Do we know that number? Because I think—
I do actually. Would you like it?
Yes, please.
Yes. So those folks that opted to the other chart. But let me, there were 610 folks that were separated, and just a small amount of those folks that were,
I sure hope
so
we could get,
voluntarily.
I would hope we could have them
I
back.
can provide it for the record.
Great, and Mr. Chairman, just as I yield